Hello and welcome back. I am thirteene and we have another convoluted but fun deck tonight. We're going to be playing Simic Chainveil combo. So right off the bat, Stream Decker isn't actually posting the deck list. It is visible on the overlay, and we're going to have the overlay for Squirrel Dealer off to the side. Uh, and as always, the title of the stream has the deck list link in it. But let's go ahead and break this guy down. So up first and foremost is the Chainveil. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate the ability of loyalty of a planeswalker card, you lose 2 life. We have a lot of planeswalkers. But you may pay 4, and for each planeswalker that you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of the loyalty abilities has been activated. So this is a convoluted way to say we get to activate our planeswalkers twice. Verbiage on this with Oath of Teferi, because that's a more recent card more people are familiar with. You only get 3 activations. If you do double activations with Oath of Teferi and then Chainveil, you only get 1 more in addition to it. So that doesn't really seem right because of the verbiage on Chainveil, but that is how the ruling works, so we're not running white for that reason. I'm sure that question is going to come up, so let's just tackle that now. Beyond this, we have Kiora, Master of Depths, 4 mana for a Planeswalker that's plus is untap up to 1 target creature and 1 target land. His -2 isn't very relevant, and its -8 is an ability to clear the board a little bit, as well as get us a win condition 8 octopuses or octopi. I don't actually know the correct terminology for that. But the +1 is the relevant thing, so we can untap a creature and a land. And then to make all this combo work, we're actually using Kiora's Follower. So 2 mana for a 2/2, it's a bear with the ability to untap another target permanent. So we're going to be using Kiora's Follower to untap the Chainveil. Kiora is going to untap the Follower and a land, and then we're going to hopefully be using a couple of different ways to get additional mana out of our land. So Nissa, Who Shakes the World, whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green. Its plus will untap a land so we can generate some additional mana that way. The ultimate, if we actually have a Kiora, a Kiora's Follower, and a Nissa, we do get the ability to -8 empty our deck, and that's kind of the immediate payoff, is just have a bunch of 3/3 indestructible lands. But if we don't happen to have a Nissa, or she can't stick around, we also generate a lot of mana with Nykthos. Nykthos with enough devotion does go infinite. And then Lotus Field is a really, really bad Hail Mary. It's not a forest. We have this just because it generates 3 mana, and untapping a land to get 3 mana will keep our combo going longer. Not a huge fan of it, but it is a card that tries to keep this going. Then we are actually a combo deck. Dig Through Time is going to help us find relevant cards off the top of our deck. Narset does the exact same thing, as well as being some incidental hate, and we can get a turn 3 Ugin. So Ugin's the backup plan. Ugin with 3 activations with an active Chainveil and some extra mana means that we can alt Ugin and actually find our combo, and he's just a solid win condition. So that's a lot of the fun cards in our deck. I know I kind of covered some of the Planeswalkers pretty quickly, given the fact that they are the core of our deck. We have 1 Oko kind of just for value. We have the Simic Nissa just to help scry and set up the correct cards, as well as being really good value, being able to scry and put cards into play as we're seeing the additional cards. We have Vizier as a backup, Kiora's Follower. We end up having the Nissa Worldwaker to untap 4 forests to just generate a lot of mana. Essentially, we're going to win with Planeswalker activations, but our hardcore win condition is either Nissa's lands or Ugin. And I'm kind of hoping that we're either going to stomp or get stomped here. We are all in, and our payoffs are kind of just medium given the amount of work that we have to put in. This is actually very close. So we get to Cycle Vizier or Cyclonic Rift just to buy some time. Vizier can untap our lands, and the 3 toughness is actually super relevant in the Wild Slash meta. And then we have a Kiora, so we have everything we need here to go infinite except for additional mana. Opponent keeps their 7 and is Skin Shifter. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Top deck in the format at the moment is Phoenix, so I'm expecting this to be Phoenix. We have a little bit of difficulty with that, but hopefully Cyclonic Rift can buy some time. Becomes a Rhino. A bird. That's unique. Alright, that is a JVP. That's actually not terrible for us. And there's an Ugin. We could actually just hit a point where we ramp up to the Ugin. Still looking like Phoenix, though. Likely going to be looting, trying to put arc lights away. Because they have so much removal, I assume they have to take Chainveil here. But I'm not going to be cycling this Vizier. I believe I want to run both of these out, expecting a lot of removal. Lightning Strike or Double Wild Slash or Lightning Axe. Really just any of the above. If they can answer one, they might be able to answer both if it's with a Lightning Axe and a Tormenting Voice. The Red Madness card. Why am I blanking on it? I love that card. This is such a weird hand to look at. Such a very, very weird hand. We missed 5 of our mana dorks. They took the Cyclonic Rift. Okay. So they don't want us interacting with them. They're Grixis, so this actually might be the Grixis control list. Yeah, I don't think this is the exact list that Hoogland was running, but I know that there was one that 5-0'd recently. There are 2 different builds. One was kind of greedy. The other one was Grixis Pyromancer. Yep, this looks like Grixis Pyromancer. Alright, that is a Narset. I believe that means I'm actually on Narset here. As much as I want a Vizier, I think that stopping our opponent from cantripping is going to be really important, especially since they surveilled away a Treasure Cruise, which means they likely have a redundant one. Then I'm going to take down Narset. A land is the thing that I want the most. Yeah, they even pitched a young Pyromancer, so... Opponent just picking me hell of a draw. Yep, there go all the lands that I wanted. Opponent was 100% setting up for a Treasure Cruise, and it also means that Jace is just discard. They do get to flip it, but it is just discard at this point. Unless they activate it during our turn, but... Claim. Alright. Claim brings back young Pyromancer, and then they can give it haste. Yep, Narset's going down. So this deck's going to have a lot of the same pieces that... That seems like interesting timing. This should have a lot of the same pieces that Grixis Death Shadow had in Modern. There's a JVP. They had another young Pyromancer. Wow, that is heartbreaking. All right. Well, we are going to set up for whatever we can do. Kolaghan's Command is going to break the Chainveil, though, so I assume we're not going to be able to combo off this game. So that would put us towards Ugin. Yikes. Alright, well, Vizier can block if they send in only the Elemental. I'm expecting the Wild Slash to come back. Yeah. The opponent knew all of our hand except for the Ugin. There goes Nissa, which is fine. Opponent is trying to play a value game, though. There's an opt. We don't even really have any board clears. I considered putting Aetherize in the board just for fun. I'm getting the read that they have another Wild Slash here. They've already activated Jace this turn, so this one's not a possibility, but odds are with 4 cards in hand and 2 mana up, they have it. Alright, I'm also potentially seeing a Mystic Dispute or Spell Pierce. But I've got to go for what I can do, so let's run out Kiora. Okay. Interesting. Sounds like they did that for the elemental token. Yeah, that's not what I was expecting. I do have 2 mana here, so cycling this Vizier is looking a little bit more likely. If opponent's going to alpha in with all of the elementals, I can see just blocking and expecting to run out another one next turn. I'm currently working with 6 mana with the Kiora. Okay, 100% making this trade. So they get to flashback Wild Slash and kill my Vizier. Although at this point, they might actually kill the Kiora. I'm also expecting a K command at some point in time. You don't play this type of list without at least 2 to 3 K commands. So K command, 2 damage here, make me discard or pick up the other young Pyromancer, Wild Slash Kiora. Probably worst case scenario. Yeah, probably should have done that pre-combat. Also can't flashback the Wild Slash now. Although not overly relevant, I think they wanted to keep their Jace around. Alright, there's a Tasker. Okay. So this is looking fine. Like, it's not fantastic, but one more land means I'm casting this Ugin. Not running out the Chain Veil, partially because I can't pay for it, but also because I'm concerned about being able to keep a Planeswalker on the field. Oh yeah, and before I forget, I actually want to see what people's interest would be in actually having a card up on screen. Alright, well, I need to try to stem the bleeding as much as possible. Now they do get to kill one of the Viziers. Sets me back a little bit on Ugin, but I also took down a huge amount of their damage here. Okay, so how would people feel about long-term having the last card that I hover over on the screen potentially significantly bigger so that you can actually tell what cards are? So I can leave that up, and then people can actually see what cards we're playing with. If that's something you want long-term, definitely let me know, because it feels like this would be helpful, but I know that most of our audience is YouTube, and most of our audience being YouTube, it feels like having the deck list on the side would actually be better long-term. All right. That is a Nykthos. Not quite what I was looking for. So I have to assume opponent's on a non-zero amount of removal. I'm currently dead to 2 burn spells and an attack. If I leave the Llanowar Elves around, I'm not going to be able to cast Ugin. I think my best line here is try to top deck a land and hope that opponent's blanking on burn spells. They also get to start activating Tassiger. Alright, well, that's the game then. A little bit of an unfortunate draw drawing both Ugins. Opponent did successfully pick apart our hand, though. Veil of Summer 100% coming in. They're a Treasure Cruise deck, and I'm expecting a non-zero number of Arclight Phoenixes. They also ran Claim to Fame, so that means Ashiok's coming in to hit their graveyard. I could see Mystical Dispute. Rex Sage is in here primarily for Pithy Needle, because Pithy Needle on our Kiora is super bad for us. World Waker can cut. Ugin's still like our only board clear, but Dig Through Time when they have counter magic feels pretty bad. Tireless Tracker is supposed to be in here for control so that we can actually get cards back. I don't know, Cyclonic Rift is kind of meh. Actually, no, I don't like Monastery Siege. Monastery Siege just taxes their burn spells. If we're going that late, their cheap, efficient spells are going to be better. So, do I want to try to find a room for Tireless Tracker? I think I'd rather have Tracker over Oko. And then probably just a... And this is going to come out super tiny. Maybe just the other Tracker. Just because this is hard card draw and this is mainly filtering. This is really good for going off, and Tireless Tracker can keep us in when we're getting picked apart. Oh boy. Yeah, we can't keep that. This is slightly bad, but it's fine. Gonna tuck the Ugin. So we don't have a payoff, and we have a lot of mana. But I'm expecting them to kill most of our mana, so that seems fine. Okay, and they're not killing the Llanowar Elf. There's a Chain Veil, not particularly good with the Planeswalkers without upticks. There's a Vizier that's actually going to be required to combo off. So let's swing in for one. I would prefer them if they have removal to hit the Llanowar Elves or the Elvish Mystic, so not going to run out the Kiora's Follower until they have an opportunity to Lightning Axe or something akin to it. And this is going to be the removal check. I could go look for the Grixis 5-0 list. I believe that they have some number of Sweltering Suns in the sideboard that they take out Young Pyromancers for, but I can't be positive. And depending on what opponent actually runs out here, Ashiok could be kind of strong. JVP likely going to mill, just that they have nothing in their yard. Okay, Young Pyromancer's not overly relevant at the moment. Yeah, let's go ahead and just cycle the Vizier. I'd rather get a fresh draw, because if they're not removing our Mystics, they likely don't have anything else going on. Alright. So now I get an Ashiok. My devotion to green is only 3. If I Ashiok, my devotion to blue is only 3. Okay, strategic planning. Fills the yard a bit. It looks like they're digging for a land here. I think the only card I'm overly concerned with would be Wild Slash on the Kiora's Follower. Alright, they bin a Blood Crypt and opt and play out another Blood Crypt. There's a Thoughtseize. I assume that's taking Ashiok at this point. Yep, by Ashiok. And there's a Vizier. So Nykthos is still mana neutral at this point. All right. Big money. There's Kiora. Let's untap Nykthos. We can untap Elvish Mystic and Temple of Mystery. Now Nykthos is going to be 4 mana, which I'm actually not going to bring out Chain Veil yet. Opponent knows about it. Actually, it's still going to be dead to K-Command. I think it's safer on the battlefield. But if they kill my Kiora here with a burn spell, then that means that my Chain Veil's likely going to just start pinging me. I really need opponent to be on blanks at this point, though. Even top decking something like a Tireless Tracker means that I'm not going to end up being able to draw a card because I have no lands to run out. All right, there's a Discovery. So this to me reads that they don't have the removal spell yet. They burn over a mountain. Fabled Passage will come in untapped at this point. We are going to play somewhat similar to Green Devotion, where if you can pick off everything we're doing, we need to hit a critical mass before we can actually combo off. Don't kill it. Ooh, boy. All right, Nissa off the top. Can we rip a Nissa? Nah, that doesn't bode well for ripping a Nissa. All right. We were so close. All right, well, we don't actually net any mana off of Nykthos until we activate this. We want to hit the forest. We still won't have enough mana. All right, well, this is what we can do. So let's just activate Nykthos first, Devotion to Green. We have 5 mana, rip the Chain Veil. We can untap Temple of Mystery because it's our worst land, and then we can untap the Breeding Pool because it's a 3/3 in Nykthos. We have a lot of mana, and we have a couple of blockers now, so just looking for an actual payoff or a creature that can untap our Chain Veil. If they had not killed our Curious Follower here, we'd just untap the Chain Veil, and we'd actually be able to cycle through our entire deck. Just use Nissa to generate a little bit of extra mana. Nykthos is mana positive, which means that every activation of Nykthos would generate more mana on top of itself, and we would just activate these to the point of infinity. We would end up having infinite 3/3 blue octopuses, and wow! Did not think that was coming. Alright, well, opponent didn't have any graveyard hate. I think Dig Through Time is actually going to be a good way to draw out of it, since they didn't try to hate on our graveyard at all. They did see what we're trying to do, so I have a little bit more concern actually pulling that off. I am expecting a longer game, so maybe trim on some of the elves. Maybe an Ugin. It was really awkward having 2 of those in our opening hand, and he doesn't do much on his own. He has a board clear, but we'll find him if we can dig through our deck at all. Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know why opponent gave up there. I had to assume that they had some number of cards. But, you know, if you're on nothing, then you're on nothing. Let's go ahead and update the match record. We are currently 1-1. Ooh, boy. I like this. This is medium versus removal, but this also means it's a turn 3 Tireless Tracker with a land. Assuming we get that far. Also just a Chain Veil away from... we need a way to get more mana, but Chain Veil will at least help us crack the clues and get through our deck, assuming that Tireless Tracker doesn't immediately eat removal. Okay, Shock there means Opt or Wild Slash. But top decking that means that we're going to test them for the Wild Slash. Opt. Okay. Maybe a little light on removal. That's not great. I would assume that they either take Kiora because it's the combo piece or the Tireless Tracker. The Cure's follower is probably going to be the easiest piece to answer, but having up the red here makes me think that they might take Kiora. Oh, nope, don't want to deal with the card advantage. Fair assessment. That is a Nissa. All right. I suspect that they have an answer for this Kiora's follower, but I think that we can just win the Planeswalker plan here, so I'm okay to trade resources on the follower. I wouldn't be overly surprised to see this get removed. Alright, that's a JVP. So they could have Spell Pierce. I have 4 mana. I'll have 3 mana left over. That leaves up the Cyclonic Rift. Alternatively, I just Nissa here. I'll have 2 mana available after the fact. I think I'd prefer to run out Nissa here. And actually get some beats in. Opponent already took themselves down to 13, so if they don't have a Spell Pierce, this is the highest upside. Plus, if they do have a Spell Pierce, then I'd prefer this get countered over Kiora because Kiora is a better combo card. Alright, no answer. I have 1 basic island in the deck as a tutor target. It is perfectly fine to get some beats in here. I could have untapped the breeding pool and it would generate enough for Cyclonic Rift, but I don't really want my breeding pool removed since it taps for 2 and I have a Kiora's follower. So this is currently 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. 8. If I top deck an Ugin, I can cast it. Any card out of opponent can flip Jace, although that doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. They can Thoughtseize us and take the Kiora. Really don't think that's a path to winning, though. I mean, just Thoughtseize us would take us down to 8, and we get a swing in for 8, so... Yeah, like Drown in the Loch only hits for 1, so it has to be the Llanowar Elves. Ooh, boy. I like that. They only left up a Fatal Push, so I'm assuming that they have the island, which would put us on the fact that they don't have... whatever it's called. That one thing. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. We're going to have plenty of mana up here, so let's just go for it. It's Kiora. We can go ahead and... Actually, I don't think it really matters. Let's just attack. They can kill our breeding pool here if they cast a spell and then double block with the Young Pyromancer and something else, but if we Veil of Summer something, it's just done. So, do I want a Cyclonic Rift? So it's going to be 4, 6. I can. I don't think it matters. All right. What have you got? Nothing. Figured they'd at least have an opt. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so rip Cyclonic Rift at end step with no Veil of Summer backup. Still seems pretty solid. They do get a flip Jace here. Don't really think that's relevant enough, though. Binning a Young Pyromancer and Thoughtseize. Yeah, that's fine. Come on, big money. Cyclonic Rift you at instep? Aw, sad day. We even had the Bell of Summer. What can you do, though? Oh, that's depressing. That's really depressing. Rip a Chainvel? Okay, so I don't have another forest at the moment. I currently have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So I get to hit them for 4. Is that good enough? Probably. So let's untap you. Let's untap you and you. Cyclonic Rift Part 2. Hit you down to 1, hold up Veil of Summer. I knew when opponents sent us the first hell of a draw on a Narset when they had the kill for it, they were going to be salty. Alright, well, looks like opponents giving it to us. If they Thoughtseize, do I Veil it? They're still being salty. I mean, to be fair, we are a turbo ramp deck and they're a removal dot deck. Like, they really should have had that 20 different directions, but if you don't get there, you don't get there. Just try to put a smile on and keep going. Overall, though, this deck has already been fun enough. I'm quite happy with the results just because we made that one guy super salty already. We had enough mana for a turn 3 Ugin in that third game there. Like, yes, we had to mulligan, but a Wild Slash probably would have interrupted us. Still not bad for a 94 ticket deck. I know when I was watching a lot of MTGO videos, I always looked at the dollar price, not really understanding tickets. If you do fall into that category, tickets are basically dollar bills. You can go to a vendor and spend $94 to pick up this deck. You do get a cash discount from Card Hoarder, which is where I pick up most of my cards, so it ends up being a little bit less, but still. Oh boy, this is slow. But we're on the play. We have a Scryland, we have a Hinterland Harbor, we have a Llanowar. Yeah, I'm okay to slow roll this with Mana Dorks. Temple almost didn't make the cut for the deck, but we are a combo deck, which means that I'm going to try to make it happen. We will have a non-zero number of hands like this one where I wish I didn't have Temple, but... Wow, another Llanowar. I think I just want a land in general, but... Yeah, I can't double cast Llanowar if I draw that, so it can go away. If in the next 2 drops I get a land, I can have a... I guess that actually doesn't even get me a whole lot. I'm going to have to Nissa Steward Developments on 3, which... Not even a ramp deck at that point. Once upon a time here, if it's cast before the first land drop, they either have a 1-drop they want to cast or they're looking for a Mana Dork. Found their Mana Dork, so this means that they're going to lead on probably a Shockland untapped. Either that or they had like a checkland or something that they could run out, but it would... I imagine it just has to be a Shockland at this point. Oh, Oasis. So this is the Green Stompy deck. Good to know. We're going to be slightly slow for this. I mean, I assume they're on Elvish Mystic. I would expect Experiment 1 out of their deck. I could also see Pelt Collector. Grabbing the Elvish Mystic and having a Painland kind of gives me pause, but I don't know. Our last opponent was so salty. And our current opponent can't figure out what buttons to press. All right, there it is. Rabble, 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 rabble. Well, they got me. I was impatient. I hit F6 twice. And this is going to take forever. Sheep Oasis typically means an aggro deck. I hope that they at least try to close out the game kind of quickly. I can only imagine that they're double queued or cat knocked a drink on their keyboard or something. This is one of the drawbacks for MTGO. They can slow roll as much as they want to, and people like me get antsy. This could be an elf deck. I don't know what's going on. All right. I think I just want to cycle this Vizier. Actually, no. I have Chained Veil. I don't want to cycle that. Let's just run out our Llanowar Elves and pretend like we aren't a turn behind. This means next turn I get to Nissa for 2. I mean, in all honesty, I'm probably just going to Vizier next turn. Cycling Vizier last turn would have allowed me to have a Llanowar Elves and just drawn a fresh card because this is really awkward in my curve. Oh boy. Well, we look like Nissa Tribal. They probably don't know what's going on. I think at this point we're trying to ramp up to a Cyclonic Rift to get back into this. Definitely looking like an Eldrazi deck, though. They took the Chain Bell. Alright, well, this Nissa will just die to Thought-Knot if she comes out in pluses, so I think I'm just on Vizier with a tapped Breeding Pool. This will give me the best opportunity to untap and actually cast something big. Ugin actually doesn't save me from much at the moment. Oh boy, so super dead. That's an Oko, though. Oko hit Reality Smasher. Let's see. I have 6 mana, which means I can Nissa Who Shakes the World, untap. Nope, Nissa Who Shakes the World, untap. Have 4 mana open. That can give me Oko for Reality Smasher. I can Nissa World Waker, make a 4/4, but this is trample, so I'd be chump blocking. I can Oko Food, gain 3 life, but that doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. I can Oko and Nissa for 1 have no blockers up. That sounds completely terrible. Nissa Who Shakes the World, leave up a forest, untap a forest, have 4 mana open. That can be Oko, and I can't untap the Llanowar Elves. I can Nissa untap, have 3 mana. Nope, that doesn't work either. So if I Elk and Chump block, I go to 1, but they have this. They don't have double green at the moment. If I try to leave back Llanowar, they can blow the Blast Zone, so that can't block. I can Oko and Elk, make a 3/3. That doesn't really further my board enough. This Nissa can only tap 2 of my lands, but I'd have 3 mana open to Oko, Elk, no blockers. I can Nissa, make a 3/3, have up Vizier as a chump blocker and the elemental token. They know about the 3 Nisses in hand. If I show them Oko, they'll know more, but I'm not actually an Oko deck, so that's not a problem. I Elk, Chump Block, trade, go to 2, untap. Yeah, I think that's the plan. I can technically stay alive in this if I Oko. So let's Oko, make you an Elk. Note, Elking the Thought-Knot Seer just makes it so that I can't draw cards, so that doesn't actually help me much. Then, yep, we are just going to run like that. If they have a green source, I can block whatever they pump. Oh, I was dead to Mutavault. Also just dead to that. Missing a turn there would have actually stopped us from having multiple Nissas online, so that just feels terrible. I would expect opponent to be on Sorcerer's Spyglass or Pithy Needle, so Rexage could be a consideration. Nissa Vital Force makes 5/5, so it's actually profitable blocker, so I think that that's coming in over a World Waker. Tireless Tracker can draw some cards. It's not really that good. Mystical Dispute is a 3-mana counterspell. I honestly wasn't ready for Eldrazi. They should be just slow enough that we can go over them by a turn, but F16 through their turn because they're playing really slow set us back too far. Probably just got a little too antsy there. I actually think I'm going to get rid of Nissa for Tireless Tracker. Tireless Tracker is legitimately a creature and can also grow to profitably block a Thought-Knot Seer. You could also see cutting Ugin. Without taking a game, we're going to have to wonder if opponent has Pithy Needles. If we see Pithy Needles or Sorcerer's Spyglass, then Rexage probably is coming in over Ugin and potentially the Tireless Tracker. Yeah, just super aggravating that opponent was playing so slow. But kind of just got to accept the fact that there's punts and try not to let it hit you too hard. All right. We're going to play first, and this hand is actually quite gorgeous for what we want to do, so we will keep. All right, well, we get a Vizier on 2, and then Kiora run out a second Vizier, and then we have up Cyclonic Rift with Overload. Not a super big fan of this Once Upon a Time timing. It's not like they have an Eldrazi temple to look for. They found a red source. Well, we didn't know they were red, so that's a little bit of information. Ooh, Chainvel. We are basically there. We would love to top deck a land, but at the moment we get Kiora into... That's slightly unsettling. Okay, now I need a land. Bonecrusher Giant has actually been very good every time I've seen it. This is mildly aggravating doing the tapping on Moto. Alright, here we go. There is Kiora. We get some untaps. Now, I think I have to leave up Cyclonic Rift. I can cycle Vizier, but I don't think that accomplishes much. I am expecting the opponent to just run out this Bonecrusher Giant. It's possible they do something interesting, but... Okay, a Matter Reshaper. Hinterland Harbor. So we have 7 mana at the moment. I think getting out the other Vizier is highest priority. Then let's go ahead and make 4 mana available. Am I throwing away a Vizier for Chainvel this turn? I don't believe so. Next turn I'll have 8 mana up, which means I get a Chainvel and reactivate. I also have Cyclonic Rift to just have some fun. Kiora's Emblem here is probably good enough to win the game. I could see just trying to go for the +8. does the +8 look like? It's probably Cyclonic Rift this turn, double activation next turn. I'd have up 2 mana, so I'd need to draw into another Cyclonic Rift or another chump blocker. Opponent could also have a Reality Smasher, which means I'd have to chump block this turn if that were the case. If I chump block this turn, that's going to put me down 1 mana, so I would need to have a land off the top, which feels more probable than exactly Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, if opponent attacks here, I think I'm double blocking. Just get a Matter Reshaper out of the way, try to top deck a Cyclonic Rift. That's if they go for Kiora. If they go for me, they've got it, 100%. Okay, very worst case scenario is probably a Wild Slash here. I know Gigantic Growth might be in the format. They found a Reality Smasher, so I really need a land off the top. Dig Through Time is also a consideration. So Dig Through Time goes and gets me a Nykthos, which won't be active yet, gets me a Lotus Field. Oh, this feels awful. I can't Cyclonic Rift at instant speed. Let's actually minus Kiora to fill our yard for the Dig Through Time. Oh, look at that. We even found a Nykthos. That is awesome. We can run out the Nykthos. Let's dig, pitching our entire graveyard. Blue, blue. 1. We're not going to have Devotion yet. Oh, there's an Ugin. I think we're taking Nissa just so that we can actually combo, and probably Ugin because he has the highest value. Ugin ++ can actually answer a Reality Smasher as well. Any order. Then this means that if opponent dumps 5 mana into a Reality Smasher next turn, I can just bounce it, discard. I don't know what I want to discard. Might actually just need to let Kiora eat it. Because next turn Nissa comes down, I'll have 4 mana open for the Chain Veil. Alright, what's the plan, opponent? Both at me. Done. Alright. Oh, and look at that. We even got another Kiora. So, let's... If this is 5, that'll Nissa. I'll have 3 Devotion. Then I untap Nykthos, untap a Breeding Pool. No, so I'll have 4 mana open. That can give me a new Kiora. Or actually, no, I think I'm on Cyclonic Rift this turn. So let's Nissa. We can go ahead and untap our basic forest because it'll give us the most mana. We can untap the other forest. Yeah, untap the other forest. Then we have 4. We have 8. So that means Chain Veil, double activate. Okay, sorry, that took me a little too long to figure out I had 8 mana. So now we get to reactivate, untap you and you. We get to 4. No! I did the wrong thing. Alright, whatever. New Kiora. Yeah, I punted here. Let's float 2. We'll untap that. Now I can untap this. We have 4. Chain Veil. Yeah, I want a Chain Veil. We can untap this. We're going to untap this creature. Nope. This creature and this land. Now I have 6 mana available. We're going to untap this creature, this land. We're going to untap Nykthos. Untap this creature, this land. Activate again with our last mana available. Then we get to alt this Nissa. Go get all the lands out of our deck. Our lands now have Indestructible. Not paying life because it won't enter untapped. Then we get to untap an Indestructible land and an Indestructible land. And we have Cyclonic Rift up as well as 2 Indestructible blockers. Then next turn, Ugin comes down, and we have enough mana to alt Ugin and win on the spot. If opponent goes after Nissa with a hasty creature, we're kind of in a problem. Just because we lose a lot of mana. We generated enough that we will still win this, but... Yeah, I apologize for that. Looking back, that was super sloppy. I had the 8 mana and all the pieces to go off. I just didn't do it. I also get to cash out Kiora for an 8/8 next turn. A couple of 8/8s. Yeah, that gives haste. Not super stoked about that one. But we're going to have to see what opponent does. I do have a Cyclonic Rift up. We can't overload it yet, but do have a Cyclonic Rift up. It feels like with these cards like Domri Raid, I would like having that hover feature I was discussing earlier. So I can put it in, but it's going to come at the cost of the deck view. So not really sure how viewers feel about that. Domri Raid gets to give mana. Creatures get +1/+0, which means that this is a 6/5, so the trample's a little bit more relevant. And then you can minus to have a fight happen, but with Indestructible lands, the fight doesn't really matter. They can hit my Vizier, which would be frustrating. But right now we have double mana coming off of all of these lands. Yep, get some mana. That creature can't be countered. But they don't have the mana for the Reality Smasher, so... Oh, just casting Once Upon a Time? That bodes pretty well for us. For 2 mana, they could have Mimic. They got Ranumap Ruins. Alright. Going after me. Does not value the Planeswalkers. Interesting, considering we just showed them essentially infinite. No attacks. Not really what I was expecting. Okay, then. We're gonna do the Ugin thing. We're gonna do the Ugin thing. Oops, clicked on the wrong guy. Ugin. Alright, let's just get rid of Domri. I don't like the +1/+0 to everything. Let's get our Octopi. You're going to fight that. You're going to fight that. And whatever. You're going to fight that again. Kiora's Emblem, I should probably focus on this. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight another creature, and then it gives us 8 octopuses. So, just wrecked their board. Now we get to Untap a forest, make it an indestructible creature. We're going to activate the Chain Veil using 2 of these guys. We are going to plus on Domri Raid. We're going to untap another forest. We're going to untap 2 things that really don't matter. Then 4 more mana. Okay, yep, opponent's done. My octopuses didn't have haste, so I was trying to get enough creatures to alpha with, but we got there. Let's see, did anything change? We saw Domri. Nissa can make a 4/4. Mystic Dispute can't really target anything on the cheap. Ashiok doesn't stop Once Upon a Time, which is about the only thing in their deck that I'd care about. They are apparently Gruul, and Veil of Summer isn't relevant there. I think we've got the best config that we can get. We just don't want to F6 through our second turn. Double Temple of Mystery, too slow. Temple of Mystery, a couple of Nissas. So I have a Cyclonic Rift to buy a little bit of time, and both these Nissas actually ramp up super fast as well as our threats on their own, so I think we're fine with this. I think I have to tuck a breeding pool here. 3 lands is not a lot, but it's probably more than good enough when I'm trying to cast 5 drops. Still super slow, but Temple of Mystery should hopefully flush out some of our draws here. And some of the playtesting with this deck showed me just ripping one of our mana dorks off the top fairly regularly. It wasn't statistically relevant enough that it's worth going into saying that I was ripping 1-drops, but there are 5 of them, so a little less than 10% chance of ripping one. Alright, well there's 1 land. Temple of Mystery, scry me into a mana dork or a Cures follower. Honestly, probably Vizier so it can't get stomped on. I know we fell behind opponent in clock, but we were doing some really shenanigan-y things, not dropping 5 drops with haste. Okay, that's a mana dork. So next turn gets to be Mana Dork, followed by Cyclonic Rift on probably a Thought-Knot Seer after it takes one of our Nissas. Still looking a little slow in the face of what our opponent's doing, but just casting the Giant. Alright, well, Giant does actually ping me if I Cyclonic Rift just that. Expecting a Thought-Knot here. If they just curve Thought-Knot into Reality Smasher, it's going to feel super bad, man. 100% not blocking that. And they just have another stomp. All right. that is a very poorly timed Dugan. There's an Aether Hub. So opponent has 6 mana. They only had 4 last turn, so yep. Well, I think we're dead. Yep, super dead. Alright, well, I do think we actually could have taken game 1 had we not skipped our entire turn there. We didn't have our Mana Dork on 1 because of the Temple, but we had all the pieces construct a combo kill, and they're just slow enough that it would have been a problem. That last one, Stomp is the Giant is actually a very good Magic card. It has overperformed for me in Pioneer every time that I've cast it, and I haven't been playing Standard, but I've seen it in a number of lists that aren't food, so guess we'll see how that goes. Alright then, well, Elvish Mystic into Vizier into Nissa Who Shakes the World with Chain Veil. I like. We don't have the ability to untap the Chain Veil, but this is actually a ton of mana, and we are going to have a couple of turns to top deck. Island could be interesting, though. I do think Control is a bad matchup, just because we are a combo deck, and that's how Rules of Magic go. This could also just be Nexus. Looks like it might be the, I don't want to say Reanimate deck, but It looks like the aggro deck. With Shram and Smuggler's Copter and the Inspector dude, the 1/2 that with Metalcraft gets better during combat. He's a 1-drop, I can't think of his name. Ooh, this is a flyer deck. I actually haven't seen a solid list for this yet. That's a Cures follower. We didn't rip a land? Oh, that's heartbreaking. Okay, I think this means I'm supposed to Nissa here because they're not immediately putting me under pressure, and if they end up minusing, I can just send a land into Mulang after I hit it once. So let's try to slow roll this a little bit and try to get some advantage. Most of the decks like this require tempo to go off, so getting a start like this should actually be pretty beneficial for us. I'm actually quite happy with the Cyclonic Rift, given the fact that that creates a token. So let's put Cyclonic Rift on top, Brooding Pool on top of that. Then we can go ahead and hit Mulang. Mu Yanling? The Sky Dancer. We'll hit the Sky Dancer. Alright, they just cashed out. Smuggler's Copter can kill Nissa here. I'm assuming that's their plan. They also might have another one of these. I don't know. 3 mana for a 4/4 flyer is still pretty good. Okay, well, we are ripping a land off the top. It looks like my opponent's trying to hold up a Spell Queller. Nope, just a Reflector Mage. Okay, well, that does mess up my Nissa plan. But the Cyclonic Rift should still be pretty good. Guess Breeding Pool's entered tapped. I won't be able to run out the Vizier again here, so it's going to be Cures follower. Alright. So we're going to take a little bit of a beating, then hopefully just Nissa and start going off. This is completely a tempo deck, though. Looks like opponent had an awkward draw to get started, but they are going to start applying pressure. Yeah, they had a lot of lands. Okay. So, it does look like a Spell Queller, and I don't know what's going on. There's my Cyclonic Rift, which means I can Kiora's follower here and run out my Cyclonic Rift. But then that means Brazen Borrower's coming down, and I think that's putting us to dead unless we top deck exactly a land. I need to get rid of this, though. This is a problem. Then the only other thing I can do is run out the Kiora's follower. I'm going to be on the table for 5 this turn. There's a Selfless Spirit. Don't really plan on killing their board, so that's fine. Wow, I had a Gideon. Feels crazy greedy. I also think I'm just really close to dead if they would have just emblemed there. Alright, what does Nissa actually accomplish for me? I think Nissa doesn't do anything because I get a 3/3. Yep, I'm just dead. Opponent has nothing else going on, but I can only make a 3/3, so we're not going to be able to advance on that board state. Alright, they are a blue deck, so Veil of Summer at the very least is going to be a cantrip. I like Rexage to get rid of the flying things. Flying things are going to be a problem. Their tempo, so Tireless Tracker isn't coming in. Nissa doesn't need to fight with a giant body. We kind of just need to deal with some things, and Oko should probably be one of the better cards here. Monastery Siege, they're not really going to be targeting our stuff, and I don't expect this to go long enough. If it goes long, we're winning, so don't need the looting, and they're not going to target our stuff on the ground. Ugin just feels fantastic. If we can stick an Ugin, that'd be great. But I expect them to have some more counter magic post board, like specifically negates. They also didn't see much of our deck. We just saw a bunch of untapping. They're probably expecting a Ulamog, given the fact that we didn't show any planeswalkers. I don't know. I'm going to actually just bring in 2 Veil of Summers. They didn't show us a Spell Queller yet. It's pretty safe to assume they have it, but it looked like they were just trying to do flyer things. Narset will only stop clues here. I did like Narset's ability to look at 4 cards to find a combo piece since everything is non-creatures. But I need trims, and I don't know, Rexage only seems like it'd be good in the scenario that they have a Smuggler's Copter. Yeah, I don't know how much I feel like I have to interrupt their game plan. Let's try this. If we go to game 3, we'll have a better idea of how good Veil of Summer is going to be and how good the Rexage is going to be. I'm expecting them to have the 2-mana Flying Creatures Anthem. Temple of Mystery. If I modify this deck at all, you're going away. Oh, no. So this is a forest. They're going to drop a white drop on 1. If I whiff, I can Veil of Summer into a land, and then I can start elking things. Not good enough. I wanted to try, but it's not good enough. Well, that's weak. Alright, no 1-drop. So I'm sure you've noticed if you've been watching this entire video how much we care about the actual forest subtype. Lotus Field completely ruins that. But it is a pretty good land to untap, so... Alright, well, if I'm going to make my 4-drop, I have to Lotus Field here. So let's float double blue, just kind of spoof opponent out a little bit and sack these 2. We're also going to look so much like a Storm deck. There is a viable Lotus Field Storm deck in Pioneer. I haven't seen it perform yet, but it's mildly viable. Okay, this reeks of Spell Queller, but I kind of need to run something out here. I think that means I have to Cure right now. I'd actually prefer Nissa get Spell Quellered, then they won't be able to apply pressure to Kiora, assuming I don't find something else, so... It feels so bad running something into Spell Queller, but we need to commit to the board. Mystical Dispute. Okay. I suppose that's a thing. That's a Gideon. Land? I'd love a land. That's not a land. So, Cure is going to run out to her death, which means I'm just going to go find a land. She's going to die anyway. I don't want these cards going to the yard. Alright. Well, at least Nissa's going to be able to stick around at this point. If opponent gets greedy in alphas and doesn't have a blocker, that means that I should be able to kill. I am so confused. What happened here? Okay. If they have Supreme Verdict, I don't want to hit the Lotus Field. If I Nissa, I can untap and hold up Cyclonic Rift. They won't be able to attack in with the token or it'll die to the land, and then if Gideon attacks, I just bounce him. Nope, because Teferi's out. Teferi's a fun fair magic card. Alright, well, I kind of have to just start doing things. We're behind, so... It doesn't untap it! Why are you bad this, Nissa? Why are you so bad this Nissa? Now opponent gets to bounce my land. Yep. Super fun fair magic. Let's see. What is my out here? I can get enough mana for Cyclonic Rift and hope opponent doesn't have counter magic. But we are under a very fast clock. We're dead in 2 turns, so... yeah, I'm not feeling super confident on this one. Partially a misplay, partial bad mulligan. Yep, there's a Kiora. Kiora can leave an Elvish Mystic back to block Gideon. But still going to be taking 5 versus bounce Gideon. I guess there is a world in which I can beat this. It's just not very plausible. So let's go ahead and Kiora, run out our Elvish Mystic. We can plus to untap our Lotus Field. I can bounce Mu Yang Ling. No, because I want a Cyclonic Rift next turn. So I block Gideon. They make a token. They swing in for 6. They're probably sending Simic Kiora. Yeah, very, very slim chance. This is a weird inclusion. I would have expected them to be on a Spirit style list with the Sky Dancer, but they appear to just be taxes. And they're ignoring Kiora, which kind of gives me a shot. Copter is definitely filtering their draws, though. Discarding a Thraben Inspector. Teferi means counters are off the table. Yeah, not an amazing place to be in. All right, let's try it. If it's a mystical dispute, I can pay for it. No, I can't. I'm 1 off. Show me counter magic. Okay. What? Oh, that's some bullshit. Apologies, I tried not to swear. Overload should have had 7 CMC. Alright, well... I'm actually curious about that now. I'm probably going to be Googling it while you guys take a look at the deck list. Let's see. Overload and CMC. Oh. Alright, so... the CMC is still 2. Alright, learned something new today. Oh, this Lotus Field is like the worst Magic card ever. Let's see. This is a... yeah, this hand doesn't do anything. We need to kind of go for faster hands since we're playing some real jank here. This is it. Tuck a Forest and have a turn 4 Kiora. I'm not going to 5, so I suppose this is what we're doing. Because our combo is essentially 3 cards, it is significantly harder to pull off. So you need an overall high number of cards. Plains. Interesting looking plains. So Castle Vantress is going to come in untapped. For whatever reason, they have land destruction. I don't want to have to go search out my only basic island, so Just gonna run that out now, and looks like another tempo stylish deck. Temple of Mystery will hopefully find me a Curious Follower Vizier. Llanowar, a little too late for you. We probably look like the Wilderness Wreck Nexus deck. Oh, please field us. Interesting. In case they're running Censor, I'm going to run out the land first. Monastery Siege. This card was actually very powerful in Standard because we had Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time, and nobody's really gone back to it for Pioneer. But Upkeep Loot is quite strong, and Dragons makes it so that our stuff is harder to remove. Dovin's Veto. Alright. Well, rather that be targeted at my Monastery Siege than a Planeswalker. Sticking a Planeswalker versus Control seems like it'd be a pretty good strategy. Yay! Fun Teferi! Makes instant speed shenanigans impossible. Okay, they only have Field of Ruin up at the moment, so... Yep, let's just go for it. Opponent really shouldn't be pressuring my Planeswalker's loyalties. I'm mildly interested in minusing Kiora here. We have plenty of lands, but the plus isn't going to actually net me anything at the moment. I guess the ultimate can actually make us win the game, so sure, we can plus. Then that also means that they have to do something to my Llanowar elves, otherwise we're going to start Castle Vantressing every turn. Yeah, the counterspell that can't be countered and the Planeswalker that says you can't interact with players is just so unfun magic. I think opponent bounced Llanowar there looking for a land. They still haven't played one yet for turn. Oh, that's a powerful magic card right there. Yeah, let's just start going for the ult. Nope. We want to cast our Llanowar elves first so we have a land to untap. Then we can untap that and that, because why not? I've been trying not to expose Nykthos to the Field of Ruin, but it's not like we have Devotion anytime soon, so... Yep, alright, you get to come out. Then we're going to be blue, 1. We'll have 3 mana up, so Castle Vantress will be offline if we try to Narset. But I think we have to force some cards out of our opponent's hand. Hope they're not on too much gas. Interesting. Alright, well, Narset's going to find us some more action then. I don't foresee them actually attacking Narset anytime soon. Okay. Well, we don't know the top of our deck. We wanted blue mana. It's fine. We only wanted blue mana for Castle Vantress, but I specifically tapped Nykthos, so if they did do this line, we'd have more mana open. Alright, well, there's another Kiora. Not great, but that's fine. So I am starting to think that a Lumbering Falls would probably be a decent consideration for this deck. Lumbering Falls would have been able to attack Teferi with some of our available mana. That really looks like a Spell Queller. That is fine, though. Alright. This is another good draw. Ooh, Scrynissa. Also good. I think I have to try to send my Llanowar into Teferi so that he can't just bounce and draw an additional card. Opponent being down lands is a huge get. I'm assuming that this is the approach of the second Sun deck, so they're trying to get 7 mana. Now we get out and tap these two guys. Gonna tap the creature just because it feels like it makes more sense. Then we have Nissa here that can get around Mystic Dispute. Okay, hard disallow. That's fine. Alright, getting a couple of 8/8s feels like a pretty solid win condition here. There's an Elvish Mystic. These redundant cures are feeling kind of awful at the moment. Alright, additional Mystic. Then this is going to be a Castle Vantrix activation. I assume if opponent has nothing to do, they're going to field it. Yep. Actually, Scrying here doesn't do anything because they're going to make us shuffle. Alright, well, that was a little short-sighted on my part, but Kure's about to ult and give me a couple of 8/8 tokens, so this also did fix opponent's mana to the point that they have double blue. They also top-decked an island. No, they went and got double white because they had disallowed me before. So verdicts are on the table. Gideon of the Trials. Okay, well, disallow's not up, so I'm just going to go for the ult and the replacement Kiora. Temple of Mysteries, kind of meh. I believe I have to say no to this. How often do you ult a Kiora? Alright, yeah, we can say no. Well, Kiora is a combo piece, so we're going to replace her. Let's go ahead and hit Teferi. And then we'll run out a Temple of Mystery, try to get our Scry on. I would love, love, love another good finisher. There we go. There's a Nissa. We can untap this guy and a blue source, ship it over to opponent with Teferi out so I don't get to do anything interesting, but they have 7 cards in hand. They haven't really been doing much. I assume that this is all gas or conditional removal. Like a plus up and getting a verdict off feels like something they should be doing any moment here. If they do have a verdict, I want them to hit the octopuses so that we can actually combo off with a Kiora's Follower or a Vizier. I mean, if they don't have anything, I can just alpha the opponent and then bounce Gideon and we're happy. Yep. Called it. That is actually quite bad. Now they get to kill Narset. Okay, they're leaving me with a Kiora. Mildly interesting. But they only left themselves with a blue open, so Nissa gets to come down. Now I'm going to have a ton of mana. We get to plus on a Temple of Mystery because I don't need the mana this turn. Let's go ahead and kill Teferi just so that the shenanigans are off the table. I can cast Instance again. I do actually expect my opponent to have more Teferis because they haven't been doing anything, but what can you do? And pass it over to opponent. I guess we'll see if they have something fun for my land. Opponent's also made it pretty clear they care about the Kiora, so it's kind of nice we have a redundant one in hand. Doesn't feel great that we drew 3 of them, but we also have enough mana open to overload Cyclonic Rift. I don't really feel like that's relevant given opponent's board state, but you never know. Check that out. Another Teferi. If they go to bounce, we just get to kill it, though. We also get another Scry. Guess it would have been correct to actually overload or just tap for mana in case I did decide to overload. Going after Kiora. I believe I'm actually supposed to let this go since I have the redundant one in hand. Because I just get to run out the extra one and be ready to go. Alright, Temple of Mystery, let's scry, see if we find something good enough for this dig through time. We don't want that. We will untap the Temple of Mystery. Kill the Teferi. Keep Cyclonic Rift as an option. Then, since this is a creature, I actually want to tap it for mana. I guess it might have been a little loose of me to not do the breeding pool, but I don't want my opponent interacting with my forest since forests actually get the job done here. Then we can... I need the double blue over here. Yeah, I think I just want to do this. Alright, then Kiora round 2. We're going to tap for blue. We'll untap you and you. Dig through time. Nothing in my yard matters. Nothing at all. Gonna float the green in case I actually find another Nissa. There's an Ugin. They can't beat Ugin. So I guess it's gonna be a Vizier and a Ugin. I could also see an argument for Nissa Worldwaker and just try to play the fair game. I don't know. Opponent's got 6 cards in hand. We don't see a Chain Veil, so I'm just going to go for the actual finishers here. And I actually want to see the Vizier first, then probably the Nissa, the Cyclonic Rift, and then any order. We don't have a way to shuffle our deck, so I do want to be conservative of that. Then untap for Forest. Opponents told us that they have no interaction, so now we get a Ugin. If they have a Dovin's Veto, it's got to come out here. Okay. Big Planeswalkers. Control. So if we get to Alt Nissa, which with a Chain Veil we pretty much get to be able to, the emblem to draw just wins the game. Veil of Summer. I actually don't think I like Veil of Summer here. They have enough Teferis that this is probably a problem. The Tireless Trackers come in because they draw us cards and they're just an additional threat. The Mystic Disputes, again, like, I probably have to bring these in to try to hit Teferi. Okay, whatever. We're just going to overboard for this. Nissa comes out early in Scries. Ugin is expensive. It's not very likely we ever get to resolve him. Monastery Siege gets us a ton of card advantage. But if they have a Narset, that's probably bad. Cyclonic Rift bounces Planeswalkers. I think we just don't want to try to explode here so we can trim some of the mana dorks, given the fact we need to trim 5 things. Narset's still pretty solid. Dig through time is great if it resolves. Maybe it's the Oko. Oko can't hit Planeswalkers. Like, if he comes out early enough, I could create food and make Elk and have to answer all the Oaks. Whatever, he's probably fine as a one-of. Kiora is our combo finish. If the game's going to go long, I could see trimming a Chain Veil. We just proved that we don't need it to win. I'm not going to lie, I'm considering the Lotus Field. Our deck feels pretty solid, and we have a lot of decent cards for this matchup. Planeswalkers just generate so much card advantage. It might just be the Vizier. Cycling doesn't feel very relevant here, and we can get a combo kill, but we have 7 things here, and they also saw that we don't have a ton of creatures, so they might board out some removal. The only reason that their board clear was live was because of the fact that they let us ultimate. I don't think we can keep this. This game's going to go long, though. I really want a quick Planeswalker or a Mystic Dispute. We took out our mana dorks. Whatever, this is fine. We'll scry to something relevant. Worst case, we'll just Cyclonic Rift for some tempo and then try to come back into it. This could be Mystic Sync. Sorry, words are failing me. Mystic Dispute or Opt. Fourth land is fine. I'm going to be on Island on turn 3. I think we're going to see another land with an additional scry and at least 3 turns to draw. We're going to see 5 cards for an additional land. Yeah, look at that. We just hard drew what we scried to the bottom. Cure's Follower can go the distance here. I really don't want this to be a Teferi. If it's a Teferi, I'm cycling Chainveil just to get the card draw. Okay, interesting. They also saw Scry to the top, so I don't know if it was the best decision allowing us to draw from there, but we're going to run out our Mana Dork that's also a bear that can just incidentally attack Planeswalkers. Then, if they have something here, it's probably going to be a Teferi to bounce. It might also be a... Interesting. Nykthos. I'm just going for it. We have the Veil of Summer as protection, so they have to have 2 counterspells here, which isn't unheard of, but doesn't feel very likely. Can't be countered is such a godsend. Then untap these guys. It leaves up Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with how that went down. I don't see much point in keeping Cure's Follower back or attacking. I don't think they're going to be able to answer it, and they shouldn't have anything with haste. I might say Rattle Chains, but they didn't show us any signs of being spirits. In fact, they showed us plenty that they weren't, so may as well get some chip beats in. I also have a ton of mana at this point. If they are on Mystic Dispute, I suppose it's correct to actually tap my mana first. And I'm running out Tireless Tracker because I have a land drop and it also is just the highest upside. They didn't have an answer last time around, so it's safe to assume they don't have one now. I can crack the Clue. I don't really think that benefits me at the moment. Cyclonic Rift isn't really benefiting me. I can Chainveil, but that leaves me with no mana open and opponents representing 5 mana. I think I'm just going to sit back. 5 mana is enough that I might be afraid of flashing in something like an Archangel Avacyn, so we can wait. I technically would have the Cyclonic Rift up, but... Alright. So, opponent's actually going to give us a Clue here and 1 mana towards cracking our other Clue. I'm assuming they probably haven't been playing much Control, because Clues is how they die to Tireless Tracker. But, I mean, I'm going to let them do them. Especially because we didn't have enough Devotion to actually net any mana here. That's a Narset. I have enough mana up to crack the Clue and crack the Cyclonic Rift. I can crack the Clue digging for another Veil of Summer. Alright, well, I guess I'm going digging. Lands aren't bad. I have a lot of mana here, so a lot of mana needs. I think this is just putting me on Oko. Oko, Narset have 3 mana available for Cyclonic Rift / Crew Clacking. Well, first things first, Tireless Tracker, get some work done for me. You do good solid work. Alright. There's the Oko. create food. Let's untap a land. Untap a merfolk. So I have enough to crack a clue, Cyclonic Rift, and Narset. I believe that means and or Narset. I can do 2 of the 3. I think that puts me on Narset and go digging. I cannot figure out what's in my opponent's hand. I can only assume it's like 2 Pro Lake Ancients or something. Now they have the disallow. Alright, let's go looking for that Veil of Summer. Alright, no Veil of Summer. Yeah, 6 mana. Like, this might be an Aetherling and hold up mana to flicker it. Alright, the longer my opponent lets me activate planeswalkers, the worse this goes for them. So I can Oko so many times this turn. I don't think I want to, though. I'm going to go digging for a land because I feel like clues are going to be the best way for me to win this game. Okay, I guess it's a good thing I went digging. I'm going to hang on to this Kior's Follower so that if opponent sweeps the board here, I can still combo off. And that was a slight misplay. I probably should have elked the food token to get in for 3 more damage, put opponent down to 2. But I'm just going to make another food. I am expecting a board clear here. I think that's the only way my opponent can get out of this. Then I can Chain Veil. I'd only have 2 mana open. I have enough to dig through time, but not enough to protect it, which is probably fine. The only thing that can bounce all of my Planeswalkers is Cyclonic Rift, and it also bounced the Chain Veil, so the downside wouldn't really be active. Sphinx's Rev? For 4. Yeah, that's fine. I honestly don't think there's much getting out of this for opponent. Even with 7 cards in hand, I've got 6 as well as like a ton of value. I did miss a land drop though, which feels a little bad. Alright, there's a Gideon, not necessarily a problem. I assume they're going to prevent the damage from the Tireless Tracker. Seems fair. I'd assume you bounce the Tireless Tracker? Bounces Chain Veil. Okay. Slight mistake. When Teferi was on the stack, I should have dug through time. But that's fine. Let's Chain Veil. Yep, there's your Dovin's Veto. Perfectly acceptable. Then I get to untap a land. We're going to untap. We get to Elk. Then I can Chain Veil, but I can't actually Chain Veil activate. I can definitely kill Teferi. I can chip Gideon down to 1. Yeah, I think I'm on dig through time. Target artifact or creature with a creature opponent controls. Okay. I have not been playing much standard, so I am not fully up to date on my Oko shenanigans. Alright, now let's dig through time. Don't really care about my graveyard at all. We're looking for a land. Ooh, there's a Nissa. Oh, there's a Nykthos. Currently 1, 2, 3, 4. It actually puts me at 4 mana, so I can Chain Vel. I really want another Nissa. So this is my combo. I assume that this is all I'm really looking for. There's Nykthos. Probably should have done that before I activated Kiora. I don't know, a little bit loose. Then I can pop my clue and do nothing else. What's my blue devotion? 3? Alright, whatever. This is what I got. Again, really want to keep the Skiora's follower in case the opponent clears the board. They have to have Teferi Plus and Supreme Verdict to punish me the most, and even that chain of cards doesn't get them very far. Okay, that is Approach of the Second Sun. All right. Maybe taking the Mystic Dispute would have been good there. Try to counter it the second time it comes down. And I don't want to crack that food. I'm going to be using it to attack. Hinterland Harbor. Alright, I am expecting my opponent to have a Dovin's Veto up, and I might be able to kill them here. So, yeah, let's just start going for it. I want to tap the non-forest first. So that's going to be these guys. If opponent counters this Nissa, I am fairly far behind in my ability to kill them this turn. Oh, wow, they didn't even have it. Okay. Tap that for 2, get Green Devotion, then Chain Vel. Okay, no counterspell still. Let's untap Nykthos. Go for a lot of mana. Go for even more mana. Activate this guy. We can untap Island. It has the least impact, and we have infinite mana. We're going to untap the Chain Vel. Untap Cura's Follower, Nykthos. Get a lot more mana. Activate Chain Vel. Untap Chain Vel. Activate Chain Vel. I'm skipping some steps here. I'm going to have multiple activations of all of my stuff. Okay, and opponent just scoops it up. They see that we're infinite. Well, we moved to 2-2. Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind in my record. I apologize. I have these things. I built them because I know they're useful, but I am so bad at updating them. We are currently 2-2. Hopefully we take the 3-2. That would be awesome. I do think we actually would have beat Gruul Eldrazi, but misclicking through the turn can only address that so much. But overall, it's been pretty fun. Infinite mana, infinite planeswalker activations. Like, that's a fun deck. What I really need, though, is Narset Cannon Pioneer. I love that deck, and banning Faithless Looting took it away from me. There is a Pioneer version, but it's honestly not great. I've been trying to brew a list for a little bit. We'll figure out if that goes anywhere, but for the moment, this is going fine. Turn 1 Mystic, turn 2 Vizier, turn 3 Nissa who shakes the world. That's about as much as you can hope for. Steam Vents, though, means opponents probably interacting with us. Don't bolt the bird. Don't bolt the bird. Okay, well that's still fairly annoying. Don't have a tap land I can do anything with. Alright, bird comes back out. Next turn gets to be a Kiora with... I can cycle the Vizier, but that's not very exciting. Royal Scions, so Phoenix. Would like a Narset at this point. That's a Nykthos, that's kind of close. Yeah. Yeah. Considered minusing Kiora for a moment, but Wild Slash killing Kiora would set us back really far for one CMC. Really don't want to give the opponent the ability to start tempoing us out like that, and I really should have attacked the Royal Scions there. Didn't have much incentive not to. I'm likely not cycling this Vizier. Okay, so Hollow One? Is there actually a Hollow One deck? Okay. I am mildly confused. Okay. So I can hit for 4, I can hit for 3. I can run out Nissa, untap Nykthos. Or just untap a land. I'll have 3 mana up for Little Nissa. Or actually just Vizier. I think I'd go for Vizier at that point. Actually, no, I didn't count this Kiora correctly. So I'd have 5 mana, untap. Yeah, that actually does put me shy. So alright, whatever. Let's just go for it. Here's Nissa. So I'm going to untap the Breeding Pool. Kiora's going to untap these 2. Then I get to tap for green, run this through Green Devotion. Then I'll have 5 mana for this Nissa. Then have 3 mana up for the other Nissa. So I'd only untap this, which is not good enough. So let's just plus and make Hinterland Harbor a 4/4. That could have been better. That could have been a lot better. If opponent has a board clear here or just ends up killing all my lands, I'm super far behind. But I also have 6 Devotion at the moment, so... Yep, that's fair. I also don't want this to alt, so hopefully they don't have too many blockers. Elder Deep Fiend. Okay. That's 2 mana. I really don't care about the rest, so... I do that. I Vizier, untap Nykthos. I can have... I'm only getting 3 mana. If I cycle Vizier, I also don't have an untap engine in case I top deck Chainveil. This still feels like it's the correct line. Okay, then let's Vizier. We're going to cycle. We can untap Nykthos. Breeding Pool was actually the correct call there. There's Nissa who shakes the world. Now let's untap these 2. This Nissa can untap the Harbor. I at least have to hit the Royal Scions here. So I'm going to have to throw a land away, and I'd really prefer not to throw away the breeding pool since it generates the most amount of mana. So let's tap this since I'm going to be untapping it. That's not going to be attacking in. I need to tap this for blue, though. So we can Nissa. We'll untap those two. Yeah, this Nissa doesn't need to be big. She just needs to come out. Let's go ahead and scry. Oh, wow. That's disgusting. Get those away from here. Untap this guy. Oh, this feels awful. Hopefully opponents spend some time attacking our Nissa. The one that we have 3 of. Aggro's not necessarily as big of a problem as control is. We played against Grixis control, and despite the fact that we won, if they would have been able to answer all of our little dorks, it would have been a problem. Trample's fun. Opponent's got some fun stuff going on. I mean, Elder Deep Fiend was an amazing card. Nissa, Nissa, yes! And they have to attack with this Flame Wake. They're going after Kiora. Seems fair. I think I'm trying to top deck a Cyclonic Rift at this point. But yeah, Zombers, this is a fun deck. I play a lot of fun random decks, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend building this, but it's been enjoyable. If your mana dorks and your lands end up getting wrecked repeatedly, why would you attack Kiora and then bounce it? That makes no sense to me. Well, we got it. My devotion is awful, so I won't be able to cast it. This Brazen Borrower is going to come down, so I can't really actively attack. Yeah, if you're looking for a fun deck, we have plenty on our website on Squirrel Dealer. There's some really great stuff up there for fun. If you're looking for competitive, MTG Goldfish's meta page is probably the most relevant. The Is It Phoenix deck is actually quite amazing and probably the least likely to get hit by a banhammer anytime soon. Oh boy. Without our other Nissa around, we don't actually get double mana anymore. Guess we'll see if they have a counterspell. Okay, that's fine. I suppose this means that I have to get my land untapped. Ugh. So Saffron's Olive one, where he ends up discarding everything to Borborgamos. Yeah, that is really tempting, but it gets hated out so hard by Teferi. He just didn't happen to see any while he was playing. I think I'm just on Scry. I have to let some of my Planeswalkers die here, but I need to really smooth out my draws. Narset's kind of tempting, but I really can't do that, and Llanowar is just a terrible top deck. If it hits the fan hard enough, I've got Cyclonic Rift for the Elder Deep Fiend. I suppose opponent's actually going to plus on the Flamewake Phoenix. The really cool thing about the Possibility deck is Lavinia is actually still in Standard, so you don't get Knowledge Pool from like the original Modern deck he based it off of, but oh boy. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to stop whichever one is pointed towards Nissa. But Lavinia with Teferi means that, or sorry, Lavinia with Possibility Storm means that they get hard locked out of their combo. Okay, before I go to blocks, let's try to actually save our, I guess, Kiora, since it only has one thing pointed at it. Oh, so he's running an Oko build. If you are actually looking to buy your first deck, I don't think Oko is a very safe investment at the moment. He is a very powerful magic card doing some super busted things. Like his power scale is just so far off of what anything else you'd be doing in the format. Yeah, I should have seen that coming. I think we're falling behind here. Again, control is just so bad. Like, he's just bouncing me off my mana dorks. Now I have 4 mana, assuming that... Yeah, whatever, we're dead here. He's just so powerful. And, like, I put one in here just for funsies, because if we're chain velling and getting infinite activations, it'd be hilarious just to have an infinite number of elks running around. But yeah, I don't think that he is at a safe power level to be doing anything. He just dominated the vintage. Um, it wasn't a PTQ. I think it was a Grand Prix. No, it was Eternal Weekend. He just wrecked the Eternal Weekend for vintage. He was in a lot of the legacy decks running around. He just the research and development team came out and said that the Beast Within ability, elking things, they didn't consider using it offensively, so they didn't play test it very well. Okay, well, we might be done here. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Well, in a world where we get Cure's follower, we might be okay here. Oh boy. Sorry, but getting back to my point, the last PTQ had more copies of Breeding Pool in it than any of the other lands. Like, it wasn't even close. So, they didn't test him right. And a couple of streamers have actually come out and said, like, they wouldn't be overly surprised if they just come out and say, like, Oko is a bad print, feel free to use him in Commander, or he's just banned in all formats because it was just such a horrible printing. Land? Tap land. Fantastic. Alright, well, this is a little bit more of what I thought was going to happen with this deck. In all honesty, Vizier actually might have been fine there, just because I would have untapped Kiora, actually ran out the Vizier, and then it wouldn't have been able to be stomped or wild slashed, and I would have had 6 mana coming my way. Oh boy. My hopes and dreams are dead here, though. Yep. Whoops, F6 through it. And now Kyora's dead. Yeah, we're just done. Oh, that was... The mulligan tilting kind of got us there. So we went 2-3. I might actually be building a fun Oko, Oath of Teferi, Chain Vel, Spark double deck that's literally just... I think that ends up being something in the ballpark of like 32 Okos, but he is beyond what they expected him to be, and I would not be horribly surprised to see them say that he gets banned in many formats. But kind of coming back to this deck, because we are at a wrap-up. Pirate Jace he goes infinite with Doubling Season, not necessarily Chain Vel. Like, you would still get a lot of activations out of him, but you'd only get a couple of illusions out of it, and he doesn't just immediately combo with a Doubling Season on the table. This deck, though, it was fun. If you like activating your Planeswalkers a million times, I would highly suggest tinkering with this. I end up building a bunch of janky decks and leave them. I build like 2 fun decks a week just off of stupid ideas. Nissa does not necessarily make you get enough mana to go infinite off of a single forest, but if you Nissa, Kyora's Follower, and Kiora all together, you should get to the point that you alt Nissa and then next turn untap with an active Nissa and just make all of your lands indestructible and basically win on the spot. We had a lot of really fun plays where we were able to chain activating these Planeswalkers multiple times into an Ugin, and like turn 5 having 4 Planeswalker ultimates, an active Ugin that next turn is going to be ulting. Like, this deck did a lot of really fun things, but it necessarily isn't at the power level of a long deterministic deck. Pioneer is still shaping up. I would not recommend building this long term, but it was a ton of fun. And honestly, it's kind of budget. Less than $100 online, $330 in paper, and most of that is just a single copy of Oko I put in there because I wanted to activate him multiple times. So You do whatever you'd like with this list. I would not mind revisiting it in the future. I do want to note again, though, that Oath of Teferi does not actually give you 4 activations with Chain Veil. It's only 3, so not huge advocate of that. A couple of things to come back through. Oh, by the way, Zombers, thank you for the follow. I just barely saw that. I am investigating the idea of putting the last viewed card up in place of the deck view. I would love some comments on that going long term. I know we have a lot of YouTube followers. I put the deck list on YouTube, but it's kind of easy to just refer to that when I'm about to go searching for something. Again, just want some feedback all around, trying to make the stream better. And I will be back Wednesday night. I believe we're going to be playing a fun version of either Selesnya Value Panharmonicon or potentially Whip Leap or something, but we're going to keep up the jank. Yep, we're going to try to have some fun with this stuff, and thanks for sticking around, everybody. I will be back, and thanks for hanging around.